I'm channel surfing on the radios, and I hear someone mention the Roman Empire fell because of letting people cross the borders. And something that has been gnawing at me for a couple years now is how, for one thing, a lot of the presentations of history that you get in school or on television are very condensed and simplified. And in some cases, the simplification comes from a sort of bias or skewed or a source that didn't have all the information. Or in some cases even, the story presented is toned down to a Disney PG rated version to make it palatable to a mass audience. So you don't hear about all the murder, death, rape, dismemberment, that sort of thing. So this is something that actually I would like Mike Duncan, who does the History of Rome and Revolutions podcast. I think I would like him to be involved in a project where common historical periods and events that are referenced and people use and cite for justification or as an argument, the real story can be presented of what happened and how. And this goes for Rome and times, as well as the revolutionary times, the American Revolution, French Revolution, even the Haitian Revolution, which frankly I knew next to nothing about, and was just amazed at the presentation given by Mike Duncan, and just have such a profound respect now for the Haitian people and what they've gone through to begin with, and then everything they've been facing to this day. So, for example, Rome, the Western Roman Empire. Why did it fall? Did it fall? What was going on with it? What I think should be understood is everything about Roman history we hear about and learn about, it's very condensed because it's a very complicated thing to explain. And there's no way that even I could explain it with any coherence, in a short period of time to an audience. Which is why I highly recommend, check out the History of Rome podcast, and you just be amazed, like, oh, I did not realize, or I did not understand, this and that. So the idea that, and where do I even start to begin with? I will start with this. Keep in mind that the Romans figured out a cash economy. They figured out that, how to deal with money, how to use money to make money, or how to use money to pay for things. And in particular, this went to paying for armies. So paying for both the salaries of the soldiers and for the equipment. And this is why you get the historical events of a Roman army could be destroyed, and the next year or two they could raise an even larger army to come and fight the same enemy. The thing that Romans did not understand was inflation, and as a result, they kept having to print out money, create mints, to print more money, and just things fell apart in that respect because the money lost its value. The people, they kept having to increase salaries and donations and bribes, and it's just things couldn't keep up. So this is where feudalism comes in, because they went from a cash to a barter economy. The reason why the Romans opened up their borders and were inviting people in was that same issue. They could not find soldiers. They couldn't find people to fight in their armies. It's like the Romans were constantly fighting. They were constantly at war with one people or another. They're constantly being invaded on one frontier or another, because by this point the Roman Empire was this this Mediterranean encompassing empire, and there's always somebody who's going to want access to wealth, or is trying to escape and trying to gain access to something else. The number of invasions and times that you would think that Rome was going to fall through the 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, they kept happening, but Rome kept coming back, kept showing that they could stand up to the foreign invasions, even with Attila the Hun. People would think, or the common misconception is that Attila the Hun was sort of one of the main catalysts of Rome's fall. Like, well, no, Rome came back, and in fact, it was 2 women who were involved in helping defeat Attila. There needs to be a movie or a miniseries made about those 2 women. And it wasn't Christianity that weakened the Romans. That was just if anything, Christianity became a political tactic of Constantine. So it's just you have to be careful, or it helps to really know like a lot of the history to understand a lot of what's going on with these different historical contexts, and then you can speak about them with accuracy and with validity. So this is things I wanted to point out, and especially in relation to today, because of issues of immigration and population movements and shifts. So just fascinating stuff. Also recently on YouTube I came across a lecture by a history professor talking about I want to say I'm forgetting the term of the name of it, but it was basically the Bronze Age collapse, or Bronze Age apocalypse, and how this period in the I want to say 700s BC, but it's around that time frame that in the Eastern Mediterranean you see collapses of the Minoan civilization, ancient Greece, ancient Judea, not Judea, but the population that was in dominance in that area, and then the fall of the old Egyptian high kingdoms, and how there's different theories floating around, and I like the presentation that the professor gave, and explaining how you had this economy going on, linking these different societies, but then you had these sort of natural catastrophes of earthquakes and climate change, which led to economic collapse, and that it kind of all fed into each other, and so that led to these ancient civilizations kind of falling apart. So some fascinating ideas there, but yeah.